Hello, everyone. I'm Martin Náraj. I'm from Soundcheck, from the Czech Music Export Office. And I'm very happy you're here within CEEntral party that actually happened only one time this year in 2020. And this is kind of an interesting project because Soundcheck was one of the founders of CEEntral party that aimed to bring together different countries and have like a common networking event and showing our great bands at Eurosonic or Reeperbahn and so on. And of course, as this year's curse happened with us as well, at a point we thought, okay, so why not to do something digital? And we initiated from the Soundcheck side, but I have to point out that this is an event which aims to bring together this region and also connect it with some good colleagues. The name of the panel is David and Goliath. And as of David and Goliath, it's about what the future brings and how Goliath and David will manage in terms of the future and the past. And well, my first question will be, is there a comeback of music? So I will ask our great friends and speakers, and I will introduce them. And I will ask you also, as you come on board, please tell a few words about what you're doing extra, because my introduction will be very limited. So let me start with Didier Gosset, who's from IMPALA. IMPALA is the European Independent Label Association, and also he's the head of Black Gosset Records.
Indeed, hello. So I work for IMPALA, as you mentioned, the European Association of Independent Record Labels. We represent quite close to 6,000 record labels in 30 different European countries, which has actually given us a great insight into this pandemic and the current crisis, as we get feedback from all these countries at the same time. I guess we'll get the chance to rediscuss that in more detail at some point, but yeah, the European perspective on this whole problematic has proved quite astonishing, to be honest.
Thank you. Secondly, Jakob Bilabel from Thema 1 and Green Music Initiative, and he's also working. I know about it since the last year, a hydrogen generator for festivals. So that is really something to speak about. So welcome, Jakob.
Hello, my name is Jakob Bilabel. I'm the founder of the Green Music Initiative, which is a pan-European research and innovation agency for the European festival sector. So we're kind of a university, a research body which takes over innovation processes for the sector. And in the midst, as of now, we are producing hydrogen generator sets, which are able to produce emission-free energy wherever you use a normal generator now. You can, in the future, use hydrogen and then have emission-free energy. But the summer came different, so we have to move everything to the next year. So I'm very much looking forward to the next festival summer to showcase our hydrogen fuelies.
And Tomáš from Brno, from Czech Republic, on behalf of Messe, which is a new event. Also, Tomáš ran a really great venue that won the venue of the year 2 years ago, maybe 3, at Novel Prague, Cabinet Mus. And he's also a musician at a really great band called Midi, Lidi. So welcome, Tomáš.
Hi. I think you've mentioned absolutely everything. So I really don't know what else to add. I'm not doing anything else apart from being a full-time dad at the moment.
Oh, yes. That's a great task these days. And Ivan Milivojev from AAA Production, as a board member of YOUROPE, the European Festival Association, and also founder of Exit Festival and many other projects. You can hear about him more, but hey, hi, Ivan.
Hello, Martin. How are you doing? Thank you for inviting me. As Martin already said, I've been working in past 20 years in the festival industry as one of the founders of Exit Festival and many other festivals in Balkan region. I will speak a little bit more about David, which is art festival happening in Belgrade, because during this new measurements and social distancing, we find a way to make exhibition which will be interactive even in those tough times, which offering hope to the artists and us as people who are involved with the art and artists in the music industry.
Great, thank you. I will actually already jump back to you, Ivan, because
waiting for you.
We were speaking before, and you told that the time it would be a bit different because you also had a huge meeting with all the festivals, the Europe.
Well, we had a meeting, yesterday, official meeting. It was like 60 members on a meeting, so it was really big meeting, and it lasted for 3 hours. And I can say everyone feel positive. Everyone is ready for the summer 2021. So like, but they need to know at least like a couple of months before festival, like what is the decision of the government, what the government decided, and would they allow to make it happen in the summer 2021. So regarding festivals, festivals are like really, really ready. What that means, everyone had a 1 year break, and after that 1 year break, everyone can't wait to get back to making festival happen. On the other side, we as an association start to work with the expert in medical experts and everyone involved with the situation to develop a safety festival, like measurements for the safety festivals, and professionally how the safety festivals will look like in the future.
Originally,
that will be the first time developing something like that.
Originally, I was thinking like, okay, we can forget about speaking how horrible everyone's situation at the moment, because I think we know. We don't know enough, of course, but that was not the point to invite you all, because all what you're doing is
we can speak all about bad things, but that's like, that's not why we are together today, I hope.
No, the first question already, it's a quick round. Is there a comeback of music? Is there a comeback after COVID? Yes. Tomáš?
Well, I mean, it's really tough to say at the moment. There's lots of music happening. People are being very active, being very creative, and so on. But in terms of the back end of the whole thing, the production aspect, it's everyone's just waiting, and they don't know what's happening. All the creative people, they're very, very active. They can actually do things. They can produce things. They're being very positive, and I think that the back end is just waiting for the governments and let's say the global political systems to just kind of give it the green light, and I think people really want to go with it. And the good thing about this is that I think music will take slightly different shape in terms of production, or at least I hope so. And with initiatives like in Liverpool and the cooperation with Massive Attack and all these let's say analysis of the carbon footprint effect and so on and so forth, I hope it really takes off in this particular direction. So I see it as definitely coming back, and I really hope that it comes back in a slightly different shape.
So we can say we just got a new chance to do things maybe a bit better. And once again, I'm not speaking about people who had to stop or had to change, but look in the future and we can maybe do it better. I was thinking when I was coming to the room to sit down that I have a kind of weird nostalgia. I grew up in the mid-90s in Budapest, and actually at that time it was kind of something in the air, some flame in the air, that new things we can make. And how about the labels? Because as far as I know, as the thousands of labels actually IMPALA is working with, is there some changes in the activities in terms of the labels? If they're looking for new initiatives or new ways to new directions to go?
I think there is, and I think we've already witnessed some of that. The old question is, how fast can everyone digest those changes? I think the most obvious changes we have witnessed were the use of live streaming, and there's probably a limit to that. but also the changes in the consumption of music. This pandemic has had an effect on streaming. This pandemic has had clearly an effect on the sales of records, if only because a lot of record stores had to be closed due to national decisions by the relevant government. So everyone is pretty much still brainstorming that. I guess there are more and more ideas about studio collaborations, about new way probably to enjoy music in limited setup, because that's probably going to be the big challenge we will witness in the live industry in the coming months. It's like, if we go back to normal, will this be a full-size normal or a limited size normal? But yeah, I guess that there are a lot of options being tested at the moment, but it's probably still a bit early to actually really develop on all of them.
Well, there are several things and several points has been mentioned. One is what Tomáš, you were saying, the carbon and the footprint of what music industry actually faced already the last years, and it was quite a topic that was about to come aboard. Secondly, what is the size that is like doable, and what is there like a size of too big? Because we face like massive events like Glastonbury or Roskilde or Sziget Festival, and for me it was also one of the questions, and I think it would be a question to Ivan first, and then to Jakob. Firstly, is that are the festivals concerned about the sizes, that maybe it should be or will it be in the future something different? I'm brainstorming at the moment, meaning like I was thinking, okay, so if there's a major, huge festival that actually cannot have that many people on its location, maybe there would be like more smaller events that it spreads out to make it possible. Is there any consideration like that within the festivals and within like your events, or if any words from Europe?
Well, there's like a lot of discussion about that, but like we didn't discuss that officially as an association. We've been dealing with regular things what we had, and with these new cases, and you know, running association, it's a great thing to have input information about other members from different markets and how their country is dealing with this new situation with the virus, and where is the support, what kind of support, who is more developed, who is not. Like what's happening, for example, in Serbia, there's nothing officially, like there's like no official help to any kind of, not promoters, artists or anything. So like if you're artist over here, you probably can forget being artist in Serbia. You should find something else to do in your life. And that is like strong message, you know, what we have over here in Serbia. So we said we're not going to speak about, you know, bad things. Let's speak about the good things. And the good things in this is like, there's like a old habit with the festival since centuries, since festivals exist, to gathering the people, like all people to get together. And in those times when there's like social networks and Facebook and liking people on the internet and all other stuff, festivals was the last places where you can publicly meet someone in person and actually meet someone in this new millennium, call it like that. And after this, what happened? Let's see, you know, like I still thinking there's like in humankind need for gathering, and festival will be back on track.
I was actually I would jump to the carbon footprint topic there as well, because you were following on that, and I see some kind of similarities. And in terms of what are the first question is that, of course, we need each other. We need live events. We need to meet. We need our clubs. We need our venues. Secondly, in the meantime,
it's like a small ecosystem, you know, and everything is connected, and it cannot be one without other, you know. And so far, it's not happening, and everyone is ready for getting back in, you know, how it was. But like, let's see, will it be the same? Many people saying it's never gonna be the same. We are sure it's not gonna be the same because many musicians cannot work from their jobs. Many of them, you know, simply need to find something else to work. But you know, we need to build it once again. You know, everything from a scratch of nothing.
But we are going down to have a smaller size. I mean, in Czech Republic, in Prague, there's like one action called Místo Propiet. It's quite funny, actually. It's really for to look at an event 5 by 5 to get 5 people in, because that's the maximum you can get in. I think, Ivan, you also told that in Serbia you had also something like this.
Yes,
what is
yes.
minimum?
There's like a, you know, like since March we've been, let me say, pretty much on Zoom, internet, and all other meetings, but actually didn't moved out of the town. And it take, you know, ages, and everything what was happening, it was happening like 500 people limit. Like whole summer was like you know, in 500 people limit show. That was one thing when it was, and now we are limited with that. You know, year is already over. We didn't do anything for Devet. Devet is art festival from Belgrade, doing 9 fine art, presenting 9 fine art with underground artists, mainly based in Belgrade. And we have all over the Serbia people applying and bringing their art every year to that festival, which is not musical. It's like have a music as a part of one of 9 fine arts, but it's not mainly musical. It's art festival. So because the year is already over, we've been thinking how to do it, because mainly we are sitting back at home, and we decided to do it in museum. So we took a museum from 10 till 14 December, and we're gonna do it as an exhibition, and we're gonna present all 9 fine arts in that museum with all local artists, some of them with a podcast, some of them without podcasts. So it's gonna be like simulation of the festival, like a real festival, but in like for local community, and it's quite important for local community because no one dealing with them, no one care about them, and it's like we need all to stick together and present what we have and what we create in these circumstances with the virus and lockdown and staying at home, because life is going on, you know, and we simply need to continue to create new stuff.
But we are bringing it back from the bottom up, actually, and that actually the question how new initiations could be formed the way that are more conscious.
We are trying to make this like an experience. When you have limitation by 5 people, we can do 5 by 5 people inside, and when they go in museum, they're gonna experience not only the music, the sculpture, art, dance, different kind of implementation on that conceptual art exhibition, and it's gonna be like different approach to the events. So it's like it's gonna be event for small groups of people getting in a building, like you know, horror building on a Luna Park. So it's not gonna be horror building, but it's gonna be cultural building in a way everyone forget that we have culture.
Jakob, my question towards you're working as an advisor as well for culture, for government. Do you see like new initiatives in Germany in terms of how smaller clubs can implement more green solutions, and how it could be actually in touch or in link with the building of on the local communities?
Now you hear me. Well, first of all, your question was if we do see a comeback of music, and I would say music has never been gone. The demand for music, the craving for the community, the longing for the experience of being together and listening to music and experience that what we used to call a festival hasn't moved, so it's still there. What has changed is the possibility to put on the formats we are used to. And this is the biggest challenge right now in Germany, is that most of the big things are not allowed. You can't put on a festival, you can't open a theater, a museum, nor a club. On the other hand, and this is interesting, if we are very honest and we look on the world of festivals and the world of music and the world of culture in the last 10 years, it's kind of exploded. So the market itself was overheated. There was so much happening. Everything grew at a level which wasn't sustainable. It wasn't sustainable for the climate. It wasn't sustainable for the people. And to be honest, I mean, if you look back on the last year, everybody says, okay, it's the most cruel situation because we are not allowed to work. But on the other hand, if you look far more back in the years before and ask yourself, was everybody happy in the industry? Were we happy with the way things evolved? Some people would say no, it wasn't a comfort zone. It wasn't right. It wasn't where we wanted to be. It just moved there at some point. So what I see happening right now, and I see that at least in Germany and some of the European partners we've been working with, is that we kind of move back into the essence of the experience itself. And by the essence of the experience itself, I mean, why do people attend festivals? Because they want to have that moment of shared intimacy. And that moment, that experience of shared intimacy you have with 5 people, with 500 people, maybe with 1,000 people, maybe with 5,000 people, but not necessarily with 100,000 people. So if you would ask the people attending festivals, what is the ideal size for a festival, I would very much challenge that nobody would ever say, I want a festival with 100,000 people. So what is happening right now is that there will be new formats, more intimate ways of meeting with people. I know of projects which try to look at a festival site at an even bigger size. So why does a festival have to take place in a 2x2 square kilometer space? Why can't we put on a festival in a natural resort with the stages itself more than 10 kilometers away, and you trek in between these stages and create something which is more of a holiday version of a festival, with the stage itself being just focal points of the experience, but the whole area is more of a nature reserve. So I see many innovations happening right now, which from my point of view can really direct us into a more beautiful future for the industry. So I'm devastated by the situation right now, the cruelness of the situation. But if you look back on the financial crisis, where all of Europe was really lying on the ground, one thing which innovated was the world of festivals. And I see the same thing happening right now. I see innovations coming from clubs, from festivals, from the cultural sector in general.
There are plenty of new things coming in. And yes, Didier, please add.
Yes, I completely agree with Jacob. And I think that, especially here in Belgium, where we had the opportunity to have some smaller shows during the summer, it's something that I could witness. You know, there's also a craving for a different experience. And there is definitely more space for experimentation. And although I agree with everything Jacob just said, I still feel like we have a bit of an elephant in the room, which is the financial aspect of all this. I think when it comes to bigger festivals, they are usually bigger because they are able to attract the big headliners. And this comes with a price. And obviously, that's something I witnessed with a few friends who ran a small festival in pandemic times in Ghent. There's the question that at some point, if you have to reduce your audience and your budget is remaining equivalent, of course, the price of your ticket will have to go up. And I think it's bringing into the debate also a question of,
can I add something?
And social balancing in the music sector that was maybe not there before.
But if we look on the prices for the artists, I mean, they exploded over the years. And why do you say the price has to go up? Why can't the artist prices go down?
I think
will all the artists agree with that? I guess that's a question that remains to be debated. That's actually a really funny anecdote I like that happened live on French TV. they were discussing the price of a Metallica show in Paris, which is quite big, as you can expect. And the booking agent was quite transparent about it, saying, listen, if we ask for 1 million euros and the tickets sell out in 3 hours, we know already at that time that the next time around, we will ask for 20% more. And it goes up and up and up. I guess it's basic asking and, you know, demand and offer. But while I suspect smaller artists and smaller record labels, smaller booking agents will be more than willing to oblige to the new situations, it might be really different. And we are looking at this point in time at a situation which I think is really interesting. We know that the world of music is quite dominated by the Anglo-Saxon repertoire. I guess 2020, at least the last 9 months of it, will be a first probably in the history of the music sector, is that no American bands will have toured Europe over the whole year, which is great to some extent because it also put the focus on more local artists, and it forced some promoters to look more at local repertoire, but what in the long run?
Well, yep.
Can I just jump in here? I mean, I see the poster behind you there where you have the chicken and the egg, and I think that it really is a matter of making the right choices at a certain point in time. You really have to make a conscious decision whether you really are going to go along with the prices. And yes, fair enough, a good investment is a good investment. You have a return on that investment, but that really doesn't necessarily have to be the primary motivation for you. I think that festivals really are downscaling to a certain degree. I mean, yes, Primaveras and your large festivals are going and they will probably expand or try and expand, but I don't think that they will expand forever. And a lot of people realize that downsizing really and trying to focus on maybe certain, let's say, a majority or at least a larger population of or large lineup of local artists combined with sensible choices of let's say headliners is probably the way to go, at least today anyway, with the fact that when you consider what the carbon footprint is, and I know I'm going back to what I said before, but when you have that as your primary motivation and you realize that there is a lot of festivals around that are actually contributing to that particular problem, let's say global problem, then I think the conscious decision would be from people who are starting their festivals, especially us, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, people who are starting festivals, and even festivals who have reached, let's say, 15,000 capacities, they're kind of questioning whether that's the right choice that they're making to be paying incredible amounts of money for headliners. And I do believe that the future is in those particular sort of moral questions, and let's say that sustainable factor, the sustainability factor, becomes a key choice that you're actually going to have to make along the line. Definitely.
I would have actually two questions immediately. There are like two sides of this. On one hand, it's also to bring Ivan back with this. And actually you, Tom, as well, because you're working with booking agents. So Ivan, you were actually booking the headliners, major bands, and you're in touch with the agencies. Do you see this tendency within the agencies that are understanding, and of course, when it gets to huge artists, they are like willing to change, or like as of the tendency? And there is the other question, the other elephant in the room when we are speaking about the carbon footprint, is that we're speaking about the public as well, and the public is traveling sometimes all over the globe or across Europe to get to festival. As actually Exit had like and you correct me, but the major, like huge amount of people coming from UK and so on, and traveling all across Europe just to get to your festival. So that's another question, of course, as well, because there is something that they can get there, a sense of community where they didn't find at other places. But so that's the two questions I would drop in. And then we could get back to the money as well, because that's another quite significant issue. What are we doing when there's a smaller festival with smaller possibilities to bring in sponsors?
Regarding first question, what you ask, and the agents and other flexible there's like a new standard terms and agreement for the contracts for the artists, which was developed by legacy team, and it's really how to say good, and it's working for both sides. But on the other side, there's no show happen. You know, all this summer, everything what was happening, it was happening for 500 people. So like if you speak about, you know, downscaling event, you know, Exit this year happened for 500 people, which is more like a studio project, you know, more like a project, something happening in studio, because it's, you know, many people in the city didn't even know it's happening, you know. So it's more for the online and for the people who will check it out on the internet worldwide, and then still be with the Exit Festival even when it's not capable to fly in and to be part of the of that festival edition. But on the other side, to do that festival edition was really nightmare, because you know, all the agencies and work with them, everyone, you know, everyone is on your side. They're not like someone who is against you. So like, you're all together dealing with the problems, how to resolve. And one of them is like 2 weeks of quarantine on the way back to their own country. So that was really important part of the deal, because you make the agreement before, but on the other side, you need to following every day what's happening and what will be, you know, not only in your country, it's even your country compared to the other countries, from which one artists are coming to play at your project, let me call it that way, which happened this year. So, but that's like really everything on a small scale, like 500 people. And that's like without American artists in Europe, that's without, you know, a huge lineup and thousand people coming for it. And I you know, I don't see problem in that. The only problem is like it's nothing happened, you know, and we all, like I said, we are all ready to start, you know, to work on what we are best in it, you know, and I think 2021 will be, you know, slowly getting back in a cell and start creating, like, you know, even if it's small event with a big festival like we did this summer. It's like, you know, it's better to have it in or not have it. Like for me, it's question always better to have it, you know, and that's for that, you know. And Martin, what you said about the second thing? What was your question about second?
The second question is about the public itself. As like in private, I work with Ozora Festival, which is a psychedelic festival, and actually quite funny that this is one of the festivals that has like a crowd from Australia or from Canada or from, you know, like they basically worldwide. Travel worldwide. And we were just speaking, okay, then this is gonna be the first year of the festival since very, very long time. Then we really have to look at Europe and the neighboring countries. And
maybe we are not, like as a Serbia, not developed on that level, but like we passed in a history like many different occasions, which was like, you know, sight signs for that. Like for example, when we had like more than 15,000 people from UK, it changed the atmosphere and the vibe of the festival. So as soon as that happened in 2007, we limited those tickets selling abroad. So we did limitation per countries and doing right mixture of the audience to have from worldwide good mixture of your festival visitors, making really good recipe for one of the best festivals, you know.
But there's also the question there, like, are we having, and it's also Tomáš, as you with Pop Messe, you're supporting lots of really great experimental artists as well from the neighboring countries. So is it like something that we are at the possibility to have like local incubation? Because at some point, as from an export office point of view, what we've seen is that many of the artists that got the chance to go abroad, they weren't really ready or not ready yet, in terms of they were ready locally, but they were not at the point to go to the biggest international showcase and so on. So are we having like some extra time to, you know, work on our own things, or the bands to work on their own creation now a bit more?
Well, that might be the case at the moment, definitely. But I mean, I've always found it fascinating supporting local artists anyway, whether it be Central Europe or just Czech Republic or Slovakia. But I think that it's one of those decisions. You question that whole idea of, you know, booking an artist from America, and they fly in, especially for that particular event. They might have 3 or 4 other shows in Europe, and then they go and fly back. And I think it's just much better to get an artist from America to do, let's say, 20. And it was one of those 20 or 30 shows, and that was one of the sort of like main motivation factors why we started doing, or when we started building the whole festival. That was one of the philosophies that was right at the sort of like top of that conceptual idea that we had. And I think that kind of, the booking, local, regional booking was always key for us. And I think, yes, to answer your question, there's loads and loads of time for those artists to start thinking about how to actually break through. Maybe we might actually be one of those festivals that help them along the way, in the same way that Pohoda Festival has really done a lot for Slovakia, together with their fantastic radio, national radio, which we unfortunately don't have. We only have it online, which is Radio Wave, the young radio station. But maybe it will be one of those kind of more adventurous pillars when it comes to popular and alternative music. And I hope we manage to actually get that 1 year under our belts, and then just keep going, because I think the team that we've managed to assemble is really great. So it'll definitely be worth checking out for a lot of people. And the other aspect is that we have like when we were putting this together, we were really, really kind of like happy, but also skeptical at the fact that we have a small airport right in the middle, more or less right in the middle of the city, because it's not that big a city, so it's not actually in the center of the city. But if it does expand, it will be. If that makes sense.
Bruno.
However, it's a local airport which can kind of like take in a lot of traffic from London, and that was kind of like a positive and a negative, because somebody just mentioned it. It really can affect the vibe quite greatly, and for a small festival that we're aiming to sort of build at least for the first 3 years, that would drastically change the whole feel of the festival. And it can actually, it can lose a lot of, let's say, positive aspects to it.
In terms of incubation,
footprint, which I would probably be just really, really unhappy about, and I think it was you or somebody else that talked about a while back about Szeged and the amount of planes coming in to land in Budapest, and it's like, I don't know if this is true, but the festival had to be expanded to, let's say, another 5 or 6 days or 7 days just to get the people in, pitch their tents, and for the festival to begin. So, and this is something that we really don't want to do. Not that we would get to that size, but it's not something that we would want to support anyway.
But it's basically a kind of a catch-22 at some point after a while. If you get on, I mean, I'm happy to hear your thoughts on that, basically, because when it gets to Szeged, I had the chance. I used to work for Szeged for like 5-6 years, and at the time when it was as the festival grew, as they could start to book bigger bands. Of course, you have to offer bigger money. So you have to have more people. So the more people came in, they can't put their tents down. So you have to have extra days adding to it, and then it is in fact a festival and institution already that happens. And my question was originally like, okay, so is this something of a past, and is this something that we are actually heading towards a much more conscious way to look at? Is it like an old business model that came from the 90s, and by 2020 might be a bit obsolete at this moment? And it's also the question on Jakob, when you're looking at the sustainability of these effects.
Yeah, when you just told the story, I was reminded of something I usually do when I meet with my festival friends, and I keep asking them the same question over and over again. And that question is, what is the sweet spot size-wise for your festival? What is the amount of visitors, the amount of bands, the amount of stages which just felt right? Like right from the turnover, right from the margin, right from the energy you have to put into. And the interesting thing is that many of them had a clear idea what the perfect size for their festival would be, and then something happened, and then they grew and grew and grew. And like you told the story, then with more stages, you have to have more sponsors. With more sponsors, you have to have bigger names for the next year, and they jumped on some kind of elevator which moved them up, which doesn't necessarily mean that they would earn more money, because I'm totally okay with earning money, but it doesn't even mean that they earned more money. And this brings me to the question right now: what is the perfect size for a festival from a business point of view and from an environmental point of view? Because I'm sure that there has to be some kind of sweet spot. So a festival which, like Ivan just said, a festival needs to attract external attendees, because then otherwise you wouldn't have the festival feeling. But what is the perfect number? Is it 30% or is it 60%? And I would love to do a research. What is the perfect size for a festival? Because clearly the idea is that a festival itself is not environmentally sustainable. But from some point of view, the bigger the festival, the more environmental friendly it can be, because you can use energy efficiently, you can use mobility more efficiently. So there has to be that sweet spot for the festival size. And I would very much love to find that out, because right now there is no festival at all. We can start from scratch. Everything which has grown and grown and grown over the last years now is gone. So from my point of view, it's the perfect moment to understand that, and then understand what the perfect size could be. And like Tom put it, the carbon footprint of a festival, yes, it is a problem, but I always answer when I'm in interviews or on stages, I say, okay, if 30,000 people listen to music together for a weekend, it can be better than if they would stay home and listen to music there and watch Netflix and go to the bar. Because if 30,000 people use a service, you can offer that service more efficiently. Technically, that doesn't mean that you do, but I still have the dream of the perfect festival. It's out there, and I know we can do better. I know that all the people in the industry, they are craving for better ideas. And I'm so much looking forward to that, because there will be, the longing is there. We just need to make sure that we just don't start like exploding again.
And that's the other aspect, is the message. I mean, if you're speaking about carbon footprint and this, like you have exit, for instance, and if you put in a message, as actually, and even you can tell this how actually you started it, because that's, as far as I know, it was very, very connected to the message itself.
Let me just, can I add one more thing before Ivan starts? Is that okay?
Of course.
Ivan, is it okay? Because
sure.
we tend to talk about footprint all the time, which is good, because it tries to put a number on the impact we have on the environment. But the festival itself has something like, you might want to call it a handprint, something good which stays with the people. So can we have a footprint, which is obviously bad, and can we add a handprint, which is obviously good? And that brings me to the Exit Festival, because I think when people are coming back from the Exit Festival, or from the Ozora Festival, or Pahoda, or Melt, or whatever festival there is, they take something back which is good. So I have no idea how to calculate it, but I'm positively sure that beside the footprint, there is a handprint, which is a good thing. And now I hand it back over to Ivan.
Thank you very much, Jakob. It's like, Jakob is a legend, and that's what he said, it's something we cannot measure, but I'm his witness that it exists, and everyone who's ever been to the festival know what Jakob is saying, and that's really important, and that's one of the things why we are all today together, and why I'm involved in the festivals in the first place. And in this, let's say, past 20 years, we've been really Exit, how it started. It started as a, group of young students starting to do something new. We've been going to Sziget Festival, another festival which didn't happen in our country. We've been dreaming to have one of those festivals in our home. We created it, and first edition of Exit Festival wasn't it now, and it wasn't even on the same place. It was near student campus, and it was whole summer, June, July, and August, and it was whole cultural summer with only 2 stages, and one is for live music, but also theater and cinema. Other one is a beach bar, like whole summer on a river Danube. And that was the year when Exit was motivating young people also to go to elections on 2000, when it happened, a big revolution on 5th October against Slobodan Milošević, who was dictator at that time. And that year, Exit simply chose to grow up and to move to the bigger venue, to the castle, which is like a 16th century castle, and we went there, and we did it only 9 days. In comparing to whole summer, it's like a short time, but like 9 days to do the festival, you cannot imagine how hard is that. Like, you know, we've been, you know, everything was out of control, everything, but that's like different time, like Woodstock, you know, like real proper festival when everything is falling apart. And we tried to do it second year as well, like actually second time for 9 days as well. And we did it as well. And we realized we cannot handle it like this. So we make it shorter for 4 days and use the money to start bringing bigger names, bigger. It was a natural evolution of the festival from, you know, starting zero ground to, you know, growing and becoming like 20 years old traditional festival with like several awards as the best major festival and other you know, achievement what we did in many years behind us. And let me say, we are not that old, like we are, you know, only 20 years as many other festivals who are our role models, who we attend, we've been there, from Roskilde, Glastonbury, many European festivals, still like Burning Man in America, and many other worldwide festivals. They're all different, and they're all like, you know, have their own specific signature, and they're all, how to say, simulation of the town. Like in a real town where you're living, you have your neighbors, you know, your friends for next couple of days, and, you know, new friends, and it's really people full of good, beautiful energy. And let me say, in real life, that's the places where the magic happen, you know. That's, you know, Harry Potter and all the things you're watching on television. In a real life, the only places where the magic happening is like festivals. And
clubs. Let me to put that in as well.
Without clubs, you know, we will not have proper artists for the festival. It's like, oh, everyone is getting together. Without clubs, you cannot have proper festivals.
I remember this small similarity to the size compared to the nurturing effect of all. And it's a friend of mine, we worked together, and we were speaking about if you have a club, and what would be the right time to size it up, you know, to go and have it bigger and bigger. And we actually was thinking like, okay, maybe the best is like you have a home, you have your living room, and you have a party. You have 3 people at your home, you have really great fun, and you can manage it with 3 people. Cool. Then you raise it up to 10. You can manage it with 10 people. Then you're already closer to a cafe, and then you can go up. And I think everyone should stop when they are not able to nurture the public and the artists. I think that should be the point. That's just my point of view, actually. But I wanted to add that, and yeah, Didier, you can just jump in. Yeah. Just to add that also in sync as and Tomáš, after Didier, you can get back on this, because your club, Cabinet Moves, actually did nurture many of the artists in Czech Republic. Really, really great ones.
I think that question of size, that question of demand is quite specific to the music sector as a whole. If you look at an artist, you can always sell more records, you can get more streaming on your music, you can play more shows, you have to play bigger shows. As opposed to many other jobs, there's like no upper limit in music. You can always make more, bigger, longer, faster, whatever. And I think it's quite interesting comparing that to what Jacob was saying about maybe putting back some kind of ability for people to limit themselves and sometimes go back to older habits. I mean, I'm 40 something, and I remember back in the days pre-streaming, where you literally had to run to the record shop, wait for a record to arrive, and there was that kind of religious approach to it, to you buying it and then running back home to be able to limit it. While it's kind of strange to compare that nowadays to the streaming platforms, where you have an all-you-can-eat approach, and basically the very idea of novelty is quickly disappearing. But yeah, that question of limitation is, I guess, quite an interesting, although a difficult one to tackle.
Yeah, I mean, from the venue point of view, I mean, we had a slightly, I don't know, specific. Every venue is very, very specific and has a very specific situation. It's set in a very specific environment, and Cabinet Moves set in Brno was no different, you know. So it was first 3 years you had to decide what was the aim of the whole thing, and although you started off with some kind of goal, that goal slightly got it mutated and it got changed, and of course the market kind of dictates. And then there is that particular aspect where you begin to get adventurous and start supporting the local artists, and then the artists that are actually from abroad that are giving you a chance, the bookers all of a sudden get on board as well, and then you're on that route through Europe, through Central Europe, which everyone tends to go through anyway. So Czech Republic has an advantage there, and once the ball gets rolling, it's pretty much quite easy to attract artists, let's say, of medium-sized artists, especially for that venue, and it just snowballs. It just keeps going, and yeah, there is that particular point where you kind of go, oh right, well this is a small venue, and we need to get to a bigger venue. But the sort of ecosystem of Brno is quite well structured, and there's 3 or 4 kind of like small venues, 2 mid-sized venues, and then there is a larger venue and stadiums. So you pretty much decided what you're actually going to do, unless you get involved and start competing with the very small and particular market that you're occupying. And yes, you could expand to Bratislava, you could expand to Prague, and even put on shows in Vienna. To be honest, it's quite local in many ways. But I mean, you just make your choices whether you continue to grow, or whether you're satisfied with the size that you have managed to manage, really. You know, so I think it's up to the goals that everybody else sets themselves. And my goal with Cabinet Moves was to keep going with that size venue, which was doing pretty well, and it was getting to a point where it became a very important venue for Central Europe, to be honest. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, I think it's already there are actually more questions, and unfortunately we have like 10 minutes, and it's kind of the sustainability level which actually that brings to the picture, because it's one thing that many had to, at least like the eastern part of Europe, so many people we knew had to take other jobs, and the question, our question, for instance, at Soundcheck and with collaboration with other associations, like what could be the best way for musicians and artists to sustainably keep and staying in music, because that's the most, I mean, of course, the most beneficial thing in future, to have creative people around and not to let them go away, not to have anyone to take some other jobs. So what could be the size on one hand? On the other hand, which are the new possibilities that we can find during this time? I mean, VR popped up now, but I'm not sure if you see that ready. And that would be also a question to Didier, because I know that IMPALA is also working on a knowledge center, or what would be the right term for it, to help.
Competence center is the word.
Competence center, pardon, competence center. So if that's also, because I think we are going towards, by the end is the question, how can we sustainably remain and have a life in what we love to do? that would be I think most of the people, for a musician or for anyone who's running a venue or anyone versed in this, because and have as many people around, because it's not necessarily the money. Like, it's not the money that comes more. I know much less people who was in it for being a millionaire, and most of the people are in it because they just can't do anything else. There's no thrill in that. So the question, what do you see? Last question. What are the new initiatives or inventions that you see that could come in as a new way to either going to concerts or less big concerts, but more via streaming? Or which are the other ways you see now, or that popped up the last year?
Shall start. Do you want me to start?
Yeah, Tomáš, start, and then Jakob and Didier.
Okay. So what the question was? What do I see for the future? Is that what the question was?
Yes, new initiative.
Was it 3 questions or 2 questions
kind of.
or 1 question? What was that? Like, how many questions there?
So A, sustainable size. B, to help that with which are the new initiatives and inventions that you see helping this?
Well, I think I touched upon most of the things that I see happening, and at least that's what we're going to aim for. We're going to aim for like a sustainable size at the beginning. Obviously, something can come in and change things, but the initial goal with the festival is to kind of try and reach 5,000 attendants, keep 5,000 attendants, maybe even change locations and see what can happen with that, play around with it, try and get technologies on board and people who can provide us with something, some kind of ecological solution. Obviously, try and build a group of attendees and guests and that are, let's say, similarly minded, and if not, jump on board to some of the philosophies that we have. So we'll see where that takes us, but that is basically the aim. Try and maybe revitalize certain parts of the town which need revitalizing, such as the brownfields that exists in and around Brno, and we'll see what happens with that. That's basically the initial idea and concept, and we'll try and keep that as long as possible. Maybe things will change, just like no one anticipated this situation arising. So that's the aim. In terms of venue, I think the 250 and 300 venue, that was the size capacity that I really liked and enjoyed, and it certainly it doesn't get too crammed and there isn't too much pressure. It depends on the amount of money you have to pay to the landlords and so on and so forth. But we were always striving toward trying to save money on some other areas other than artists, but even the artists were kind of forced to reevaluate the amount of money that they needed from us. So and then that came with time, and that was the main philosophy. So 300 for me was great. The expansion to other possible sources of income, such as a vinyl shop, which the venue now has, a vegan restaurant, which the venue now has. I mean, these are all sources of income that we would just. It was a philosophical decision that was really close to our ideals, but at the same time, we were more or less forced to do that because that's the way we were forced to diversify, even outside of the live music business, so that we would be able to justify our existence. To be fair, so that's what I see as the future: the diversification into certain technologies which reduce the carbon footprint, and ideally, maximum for me at the moment, I can't foresee a festival or doing a festival beyond 5,000 capacity. That's
Thank you, Jakob.
Okay, now I hear. Okay, can you bring back the others so that I see the others while I'm talking? It helps me Great. It's also weird when you see only yourself. So first, I think the biggest challenge right now and the biggest potential right now is that we make use of the brutal situation that none of us is able to plan more in advance than 3 weeks, which is weird, but this is the reality, at least in Germany. So whatever we plan, let's make sure that we build something back we love and not what we hate. With many of my friends, I see something like a phantom pain because we are missing the experience so much that we tend to forget how strange it was at times. So whatever we build back, let's build something back we love, and let's build something back which puts a handprint on people's lives and not so much footprint on the planet's history. And this can be done. It can be done. We have the innovations, they are already there and they are on the market. So whatever idea in the past you had, you couldn't do, right now is the moment to at least give it a try, because something which didn't work in the past might work in the future. This is the first thing. The second thing about innovation, I am very reluctant to really create some loving relationship to the digital world, because most of the things I saw in the digital world in the last few weeks, they were so painful to see, so painful to watch. And it's a bit like watching porn when you're craving for love. I mean, it works for a minute and even 5 minutes, but the longing is for something different. And I would very much encourage all the artists, all the festival promoters, don't put too much into the digital realm, because what I saw is that artists put out amazing content without any financial remuneration, without any monetizing behind it, and we made all the big platforms bigger and bigger and bigger, and the artist itself got smaller and smaller and smaller. So let's not jump onto the digital bandwagon too quickly, because we can't put on real events. It we might have to wait another few months, but digital is not the solution. Digital can really work in distribution, but digital can never ever deliver the experience we are after. So let's think one more hour. Can we build something back we love, which is a real experience and not a digital one? This is the second one. The third thing I see in the future is more of a decentral, distributed way of experiences. So in the summer, when there was no traveling allowed, I can be honest, I attended the most beautiful parties in Berlin, with only German artists, with only Berlin artists, with only people from Berlin. And I'm not against having people here from other countries, but I was realizing the scene was so vital. We had so many great artists in Berlin, and I'm sure you have great artists in Paris, in Prague, in Budapest, in wherever you are, in Ghent. They're all there. And in the past, the big artists just moved them out from the stages, and I saw them coming back in. And this is so beautiful. So I see a distributed, decentral festival world in the future, with some few big events where we all go, but many, many, many smaller events. And small events can be very sustainable, because you don't have to fly, you don't have to have a big stage, you can have a smaller stage with a hydrogen generator set. It can be done. So to put this all together, I see a very bright future for the sector, because one thing I was realizing, and this is how much we are missing right now, and how much we are longing to really hugging people, staying with people in a mosh pit somewhere, or in the dance arena at Exit, or at some place at Ozora. We are longing for that handprint on our lives. And if the longing is big enough, we will come up with a good idea of how to make that happen in the future. We can't hear you, Ivan.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, you nail it again. Thank you. Yeah, it's really like my thoughts are like 100% with you, and with many things what he said, I'm totally agree. And that's what I've been speaking before. It's like without festivals happening, we are losing some kind of magic. And there's like many solutions online, many online, and maybe favorite one is like with Christoffel and Lost Horizon with Shangri-La Crew, where they created VR reality, which is really they build up, create a complete festival site of the Shangri-La from Glastonbury, and it's for the VR visitor. They've been charging tickets for it, for the people to be part of it. For those one who don't have VR, they can watch it on YouTube, but they cannot interact. And it's completely new world with you can buy merchandise, even in a real life. They can, you know, send you back to your home, and I don't think that will stop, you know, once everything get back to normal and once everything start to be like the maybe not the festivals we used to have, but you know, to get you closer to the festivals you live far away from, and in this new reality maybe you're not able to go there anymore, and maybe through those kind of additional things you can get back in touch with the places you would like to be, but it's definitely not the main thing, and definitely cannot go with the energy people have with them once they're physically back on the festival. And like Jakob said, handprint, you know, that energy, it's like a really interesting and amazing to do it online, but it's, you know, like 2D and 3D, you know, unfortunately cannot make it adequately substantial, like for consuming of the energy you got having at the festival, going at the festival. And I think I agree with many of you said tonight that the future, short future, is getting in that kind of direction, dealing more with the local artists, trying to do more with the stuff you have and people around you, with creative people, and to develop something until you know, everything is allowed to travel and going everywhere. But this was like insane before, like you had so much internationals and people in your city. It was, you know, like a dream, and now we see what we lost, you know, and we lost a lot, but like we're gonna work on building something even better and new for all of us, you know. And I'm not giving up on creating festivals. So even this situation shows us it's not safe for the profession to work on it. For me, it's my you know, life story. So I will you know, continue to create festivals in different shapes, and because of the energy people can get from those kind of experience, visiting festivals, even their art festivals or music festivals. But that's what you got from it. It's I didn't find something what can subsidize it.
Gosh, it's quite difficult to add something after these three gentlemen, right? No, I guess that in a nutshell, if I have to take something from our discussion, I think the two key words when it comes to live music would be social experience and a physical experience. When it comes to the social aspect, I suspect, and we've already mentioned it, that we will probably see a development of more events aimed at the community on a more local level. But yeah, I suspect that when it comes to the more physical aspect, just like demonstrations or football games and so on, there will still be an appetite in bigger events, if only because of the specific type of enjoyment that they can provide.
Thank you. Jakob, you wanted to add something there.
Hold on. No, this was just a muted version of applause. This is what you do in a
oh yeah,
Occupy Wall Street. You say yes, good idea.
I think this
Love
is what's coming now, because we are about to finish. Thank you so much. Really, I think the best word in here is belief. What I get out of this, belief for a better days. And I think there's a bright future ahead, which always starts with the small steps, the smallest steps, as Ivan just said, like the few people coming in to see an art piece, and then the next few will come up, and from that level on. Thank you so much for being with us, and all of you who are listening now, go to Exit, to Deviate, to Pop Messe, to Cabinet Moose, listen really great records, and go to places that are running on hydrogen generators. Take care all. See you. Bye.
Bye.